What's going on, guys? This is the Spiritual Experience, a place for spiritual and personal growth. This video is going to be deep, so this is a warning, because it may go on for 20-30 minutes, maybe not even that, maybe like 10 or 15 or 5, depending on how deep I go with this, because this subject could be talked about for hours. Now, what is the subject of this video? The subject of this video, well, not the subject, but the subject, not the title. The subject of this video is basically, why do people do what they do? Why do they, and this forum is talking about like the extreme crimes, like killing and raping and murdering and doing all these things. Why do people do these things? It's a simple answer. Love. I know how that sounds. It sounds very strange. It sounds contradictory, but it's true. People do what they do because of need. They need something. They're afraid of something. They love something too much. It's a distorted form of love, don't get me wrong, but it's still love. So, I know it's a very simple answer, but I'm going to try and describe how this happens in a way that you can understand. And not all situations are going to even be similar, but they're going to have the same element. Oh no, let me lock this. There we go. Anyways, nobody's going to have the same reaction. So like I said, all things are created by two emotions. There's only two emotions in the language of the soul. That's fear and love. Fear, anger, hatred, all things that evolve from fear are things that come from love. Just think about it for a second and you'll see what I mean. Just think about a mother who, to save her child, has to twist the child's arm to get it out of the road because the child might get herself run over. That's what I mean by fear or love. And if you think about it for a second, about the idea that all emotions come from fear or love, you'll see what I mean. If you see what anger feels like and see the underlying motive of why anger is caused and the underlying emotion, you'll see that anger is basically fear personalized or recognized or something like that. Anger is basically what anger usually seems to be, is when fear as say I'll give you an example to make it a bit easier because it'll sound a bit too philosophical. Okay, say in a certain country, like a dictatorial country, people are angry. It's because of fear that they're going to be silenced, killed, raped, or murdered. See what I mean? Anger is like an outward expression of fear in a lot of ways. Anger is like a pushing out of it's not even a pushing out. It's like the ego trying to overcompensate. Anger is a way for the ego to protect itself. Hatred is something similar. Hatred is how do I explain this one? Because hatred is a complicated one to explain. Because hatred has more involved in it. It's less of love than some others possibly, but it's involved with fear because the person is afraid that this person is going to do something to this to himself or herself, even if that fear is unrealized or just not going to happen. Even if it's like even if it's an imagination, he still thinks it's true. So, see what I mean? Like, all emotions derive from either fear or love, sometimes both. But fear is love. Let's take this example of a tyrant, and let's take this example of the angry people in their tyranny country and the dictatorial country. They're angry, they're afraid because their liberties are going to be taken, their lives are going to be taken, their families are going to be taken, and that all comes from love. If they didn't have love, they wouldn't have fear or anger. They would just be passionless. So, and in another video, I'm going to explain where this comes. Well, no, I'm going to explain where the need comes from now, but I'm going to explain in another video why need is an illusion. Need is inside of your mind, but it's not real in reality. I'll explain that later in another video. So how do you deal with people who have these extreme reactions? Well, that is probably going to be another video, because it could be said that you may not be able to deal with them. They may be too overreactive. A lot of this comes from overreaction. Not all of it. Not even most of it, maybe, but a lot of it. People say that psychopaths, they feel no emotion, or something like that, but I don't think that's true. I think that they're more selfish than most people, and the reason why they do what they do is because they're afraid that they're going to lose their comforts. They're afraid they're going to lose they're not going to be the center of attention anymore. So they're like extreme forms of narcissists. Psychopaths kill because of fear. By the way, psychopaths aren't just killers. Psychopaths can be anybody. They can be like corporate salesmen. They can literally be anybody. I might do a video on psychopathy and how it works. There's sociopaths and psychopaths, and they're all motivated mostly by fear. If not completely by fear. If only subtly, then they still operate by fear. Anyways, this is a video describing why people rob, kill, rape, or do all the extreme reactive things that they do. If you like this video, please share it and like it and subscribe it to my channel, and click that notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video if you like these videos. This is a spiritual experience saying, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next video.